come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Oh, there's no crying in baseball!
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Why so serious?
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
You're gonna need a bigger potion.
I love you.
I know.
Here's Johnny.
Hello, everyone out there in the Basement Nation. My name is Trish, and as always, I am joined by Dace. And this is your next and very, very late installment of For Real Conversation. For this week, we decided to go with the spooky season theme, but I decided to switch it up a little bit, and we are going to focus on dark comedies, which are honestly a personal favorite of mine because they hold a genre that I love very dear to my heart, which is usually called good for her. And it's where what they consider final girl gets back at, the people coming at her. But for this week, it's not just the good for her. It is a couple different ones that are considered horror and comedy. And I think one of them, I know it surprised me and Dace, but it'll surprise everybody. So this week we decided to focus on Scooby Doo, which if you haven't seen that, there's no hope for you. Another one we have called Ready or Not, Happy Death Day, and then the cinematic
masterpiece. Masterpiece.
Something called Rubber.
Masterpiece.
If you don't know what Scooby Doo is, then I'm very worried for your sanity. But just a quick synopsis, as we were discussing before we started this. This is the live-action Scooby Doo, where basically the gang all get called together for a case on Spooky Island, where all these monsters are taking over, and all that. And then you come to find out what's going on, why it's all happening. Ready or Not involves the wonderful, what we like to call Scream Queen herself, Tamara Weaving, where she had just gotten married to her fiance. And in that family, every night on their wedding night, they have to play a game. Well, her game is called Ready or Not. And when you find out what you have to do, it involves her being chased by the family so she can be sacrificed so the family keeps the fortune and fame that they have. Then the next one we have is Happy Death Day, which is basically the Groundhog Day of horror. The main character, Tree, wakes up in a loop on her time loop on her birthday because she keeps getting murdered. So she has to figure out who's murdering her and why for the loop to end. And then Rubber.
The cinematic masterpiece.
Then Rubber, which is about a sentient tire that goes on a killing spree for whatever reason.
The shit should have been directed by Scorsese. I'm just saying.
I'm pretty sure Scorsese would have nightmares about that movie.
It's a masterpiece. I don't care what anybody says. It's a goddamn masterpiece.
So I guess for the first part, I would like to talk about, why they would be considered horror movies. And I think the one that surprised both of us the most was when I looked it up and realized that Scooby Doo was considered a horror movie. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we were saying it makes sense when you actually look at some of the way that it's filmed and like the premise behind everything. But it's still crazy to think that that would be thrown into the horror genre.
That and the director. I mean, just the fact that James Gunn's the director, it's already going to be fucked up, especially since it's a kids movie.
Well, and I didn't realize, and like we were saying, I didn't realize it was James Gunn until you said that to me earlier today. It didn't hit me until then. I think also at that point, like I said, this was 2002. Not fuck if I knew who James Gunn was at that point.
Well, that's because he ended up doing movies, and I think it was after he did Slither. Obviously,
really?
he had the run with the Guardians. He did Brightburn.
Yeah.
He now runs DCU. So it's very weird that when you start talking to the man and then realize oh, you're the Scooby Doo guy.
Yeah, and that's kind of a fucked up movie. Like when you really think about the things that happen in that movie, it's like there's voodoo, there's possession. Cinematically, it does. I understand the horror part of it, cinematography wise, because it is a dark fucking movie and some weird shit happens. It's just weird that it's James Gunn.
100%. Because again, you really associate James Gunn now with the comic book genre more
Yeah,
so than
absolutely.
the horror. But if you look at his earlier works, he was a huge horror fan, and I think he did 13 Ghosts as well. He
No
he
fucking way.
he
What?
he had a writing credit for that.
Oh, 13 Ghosts is another amazing film, but
Yeah.
I don't even get me started on that tangent. But it's crazy to see like apparently how absolutely like widespread James Gunn talent is. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I just
this is actually this was his like big debut when it comes to like a studio taking a chance on him.
yeah,
Scooby
and
Doo
they
was his first big one, and then after Scooby Doo, he ended up doing Dawn of the Dead, and then Scooby Doo 2.
which is crazy because Scooby Doo didn't get its following until long after it came out, and now it has like a crazy cult following behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the other thing that makes me laugh is like it seems to be a pattern with like the dark comedies. Like most of those dark comedies, in my opinion, seem to also be, which is what the other two are, which is more of like a slasher feel, where you got people running around, you got a lot of blood, you got a lot of gore. Ready or Not, for sure, that's definitely. I mean, it's horror, but it's also more of a thriller because it is a chase movie. Like she is being chased throughout this entire movie, and I think the reason it works so well as a dark comedy is because you're like the horror's there, but like the lines that happen when they kill people, like it's very human with the way that this movie feels, in my opinion. Like I probably would have reacted the same way if I was in some of their shoes.
Yeah, it makes 100% like sense, especially since like again, it's weird that we're watching a lot of these movies that kind of gave the big breaks to certain things because I think this was also like one of the bigger breaks for A24, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't realize that was A24 for a long time. And A24, good lord, I love A24 so much. And A24 puts out some weird fuck. A24 is actually really well known for the genre I said, which is good for her. Because A24 did Midsummer, they did a whole bunch of others that are
They've
in that
done.
whole good for her.
Yeah, I was gonna say they've done Civil War,
Yeah.
Iron Claw, Uncut Gems. Like all of a sudden, this A24 studio started popping up, and to me, at least for me, this was one of the first movies I seen and went and realized who they were.
And A24, it's that like you're saying, it's not just horror with them. And I think I think what I think the pattern we're falling into now is realizing how much like the people who within that dark comedy seem to have a very like wide range like on what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Happy Death Day, which that is definitely, in my opinion, more comedy along the lines of like mystery too, because it is dark though, because like she's getting killed throughout this entire thing. Like bloody, gory, poison, like you name it, it happened to this poor girl, and to the point where she's just losing it and she doesn't really know what to do. And that's also, if I'm correct in remembering this, that's a part of another really well-known film studio for stuff like that, which is Blumhouse. And
Yep.
Blumhouse, in my opinion, is also another great studio that produces like outside of the box horror films.
And it feels like at least these two studios have really taken up the mantle for like New Line Cinema. It has kind of
Yeah, and
faded off a bit.
Lionsgate used to be a really good horror film because they used to have
They had the Saw franchise.
well, not just that. I mean, they used to have a sub studio within them called Twisted Pictures, I believe,
Yeah.
which also was Saw.
Yeah.
So and Lionsgate used to do a lot of them, and then they kind of just fell off of it, I feel like.
Well, it's weird. It's unfortunate that we're picking up the movie conversation again when like the movie experience is I want to kind of say dying.
I
Like
know.
it's there's a lot of flack that comes at like comic book movies and stuff these days of like, oh, you're not hitting the $1 billion. Nothing is. Like it's very rare for a movie to hit that $1 billion threshold now, and it's
I know.
usually through re-releases and just overstaying their welcome in the theater, and there's nothing else there. I got my
Yeah.
kid constantly asking to go to the movies now. I'm like, there's nothing out there for you to see. Like,
And it's crazy. I do have to agree because, like, I used to go to the movies all the time, and I had a membership at Cinemark, everything like that. I just paused my Cinemark recently because I don't go as much as I used to. I used to love going, and I think it's just a convenience. It's a timing thing. But like You're right. Like, I think the problem that we're running into is while these studios are great and they're doing things outside of the box, they're unfortunately some of the only ones, and you're running into so much of the same shit that people are getting tired of it. I think that's kind of why I like the idea of a dark comedy, because humor's always going to get me. So if you're going to make me laugh while also making me freak the fuck out, it's going to work.
Well, I think the other approach, at least these 4 films, maybe not so much Scooby Doo, because it had the big backing of Warner Brothers, but they're smaller productions in a sense where they're not. You don't have the big names. The star of the one movie's a rubber tire. The other ones, the stars aren't stars. Like, it's not Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. It's I think the only name that you would point out was Adrian Brody was in Ready or Not.
Brody.
Or Adam Brody, sorry. He was in Ready or Not. So at least for those 3, Scooby Doo, they're all Disney stars now.
Well, yeah. So. But like I said, that one was one that we kind of threw in there because me and you were kind of like, oh wow, this is horror, huh?
Mm-hmm. Which is crazy. It makes sense because if you look at the old cartoons, that probably was frightening to people back then. Because it was ghouls, and granted, everyone would end up being in a mask, but it always dealt with like the supernatural field.
Right. It was always debunked, and it was never actually. It was just a human or something like that. But
which the fun twist to this movie is, it turns out it's not.
It turns out to be it turns out to be one of their own, which is also funnier to me.
Yeah. I also want to throw out that movie had a banger of a soundtrack. Because I still remember the song Thousand Drums or whatever it is, In the Land of Thousand Drums.
Like the theme song when they land on Spooky Island.
Yeah, it had a beat to it, man. That was a banger.
Yeah. James, that seems to be a pattern with James Gunn, though. Because, I mean, think about what the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack did.
Every episode of Peacemaker had its own, it could have been its own vinyl.
Yeah.
James Gunn appreciates a good soundtrack when it comes to making a movie, which is, again, this was his big break in a way.
And it's so funny because like I like soundtracks are like, they're like borderline important for me sometimes, because like I don't really care if the movie sucks but it has a great soundtrack. Like, no, you're not gonna get me because I'm not going there to listen to the music. Well, but if a movie is great and has a great soundtrack on top of it, that's huge. Like, one of the ones that like has always stuck out for me, and that man deserves a medal for what he's done with composing, is the How to Train Your Dragon series.
Mm-hmm.
That movie was made 10 times. That series was made 10 times better because of that composer. But like Guardians of the Galaxy, that you're right. Like, that soundtrack is incredible.
The crazy and like a perfect example to like see when music makes a difference is to go back and watch a lot of TV shows that had deals made for reruns before streaming was a thing. Like, the example that pops in my mind is Scrubs. There's a lot of music that was curated by Bill Lawrence and Zach Braff directing episodes that they did not have the rights to if you watch it on Hulu, and they changed the song out. So much so that, like, I know I'm a super fan of Scrubs, and this is kind of getting off topic, but it's noticeable when it's a different song. It's like, that's not the song they played in the original, or like on the DVD or the original airing. So to curate that it's kind of a masterful work, and banger for Scooby Doo.
You get what you're saying though, because like in horror films, part of it is a lot of the sound behind it too. Because like some of the best ways that you're gonna set up like a jump scare or like the villain, and like you always know by the soundtrack behind it, right? But you always know like, oh, the big baddie music's showing up, so like we know something's happening.
The icons, like the piano score for Mike Myers, whenever you knew he was in the area, it's not so much as a song, but the scoring of the cha 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 cha, whenever like Jason's moving through, and then of course the child song for Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy. So the score is definitely important when it comes to horror, because if you go out there to like Benny Hill playing in the background, that entire movie's going to have a completely different meaning when it's zipping around on screen.
But you're right, because like if you think about it, in that movie, like there really wasn't much to that when it comes to like, there were not a lot of elements. You're right, there were not a lot of elements of rubber. But you honestly, truthfully, could have made that so much more menacing with a different soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. It's a cinematic masterpiece. We won't argue that, but it's the soundtrack definitely matters.
We will argue that when we get there.
Oh, it's the best of the 4, hands down. And
You're
since
entitled to your opinion, and your opinion is wrong.
since owning a Dodge Challenger, I can see why they're murderous. You have to replace the tires every goddamn year because it picks up a nail. So yeah, I would want to be revengeful if I was a tire.
But I think like it is crazy. Like, but I mean, in the aspect of a horror though, like the one thing I will give to Rubber is of the 3 movies, Rubber was probably the most close to a horror film and not just a slasher film.
And it was the most original idea out of the 3, hands down.
You're right. Yes.
Scooby Doo was just a live action version of a cartoon. Ready or Not's just a horrible or like a horrific take on hide and seek, and then Happy Death Day is just Groundhog Day with murder. And then, Groundhog Day with murder where they show it.
You've got a sentient tire with telekinetic powers.
Exactly. Nobody expected Charles Xavier reincarnated as a rubber tire, just wiping people out.
Oh, I need Allie to Photoshop something for me now.
Come to me, my tires.
But I will agree, Rubber is, of the 4 movies, and horror-wise, Rubber is technically the most horror because, like, you don't know if this tire's pissed off at you or not. Apparently, the tire can do whatever it wants, and apparently, if it just sits there long enough, your head blows up. Like, what?
Yep. Fucking phenomenal. This is a chef kiss. Like, you can't write. That's better. There's no better storytelling today. Studios should take note. We don't need another Superman movie, James Gunn. We need another tire movie.
It was something else. I'll give you that.
Like, give him a power up where he puts fucking snow tire chains on during the winter and just fucking has at it. I'm in.
Oh. I do think, though, when it comes to, like, the horror aspect of it, like I said, Ready or Not and, like, and the other one, they're Ready or Not and Happy Death Day are definitely more slasher. But, unfortunately, Rubber is more of a horror film, and then Scooby Doo is just Scooby Doo. But it's just like, then you get to the comedy aspect of it, where I don't know if they were trying to make Rubber a comedy or not, or if they just were like, oh, this is a fucking disaster, let's roll with it.
I feel like they had to not take it as a comedy, and then somebody like was editing it, went, dude, this is a comedy. Because if they walked into it with the humor, it was not going to be a good movie.
Right, like, I just feel like, did they mean to, like, did they go into it thinking it was a joke or not? Like, I just, you know what I mean? Like, what happened there?
Oh, somebody got high and said, hey, what if a tire just murdered people? And someone, all right, here's $5 million, go make it.
Yeah, that was, first of all, I think I make more in a year than the budget for that film.
Could you imagine being a grip on that set of like, hey, Chris, you're in charge of just, you got to roll the tire when we tell you to roll the tire.
Or just there's just so much to that movie that it's just like, what? Like,
you should feel better knowing that you've seen it now.
No, I don't. I believe I said that I wanted financial compensation and my time back.
No, I feel like you owe them more money for seeing it.
No, what I would like to know is the whole point, because, like, if you think about it, like I genuinely can't tell if they meant it to be funny or not because of that monologue in the beginning. Because that monologue in the beginning made me think I was watching the wrong movie.
Cinematic masterpiece. That's all I can say to it. There's no notes. Chef's kiss.
I don't know if I would go that far, but
I would 100%.
But like within the comedy of Happy Death Day, I think I was telling you, like, one of my favorite parts of Happy Death Day is definitely heavier on the comedy side than most of them, except for maybe Scooby Doo. Scooby Doo was supposed to be a children's movie, so that being funny makes total sense. It was more of it being a horror film that threw us off. But Happy Death Day, I think that has the most comedy. I was telling you, like, I think one of my favorite lines was, as she's going through the time loop more, and she's going through the days and experiencing the same thing over and over again, you just see her, like, at her fucking wit's end, and she's got that one guy hitting on her, and she's like, you're gay, and then just keeps going. It's like, you can just see her slowly, like, just falling apart because she wants to figure this out. So like it's just that is a very real scene to me because it's just the delusion and like she's trying to keep it together but she can't, so she's just going off.
Yeah, it's always I always enjoy movies when it comes to the Groundhog Day formula,
Mhm.
because you do see that level of frustration grow through. Like that's part of the allure of that type of movie, and how I think at that point can't get away from a comedic aspect to it because this is how you absolutely would react if you knew that something was going to happen and it was unavoidable and you had to deal with it every day.
Because like when you've got that formula, there's really only two ways that you're going to handle it by the end. You're going to accept your fate. You're going to move on, and you're going to have that. You're going to see that sort of calm sense of like, yep, okay, cool, moving on. Or you're going to see the absolute just menace coming out, which is what happened to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think.
Good. No, go ahead.
No, I was saying, and I think within the comedy of in Ready or Not, I think that was definitely, like I was saying, like that to me, the comedy within that is just the realistic aspect of how people genuinely would probably react. Like, I'm a sarcastic motherfucker. So half the things that were being said and done in that movie made me laugh because that's probably how I would react too.
I will definitely give A24 credit where credit's due when they write these horror movies, because I told you before we got on the podcast, I went and saw the next one that came out from them called The Hunt, because the writing and the dialogue in Ready or Not to me was really good. Like, yeah, it's a horror movie, but you can have fun. Like, if you're in this situation, you're not. People don't talk robotic. Like, oh no, where did Charlie go? Charlie went down the hallway. Oh no, Charlie's dead. Like that. Like, that's the terrible pitfall of the '80s.
Right, and I think that's like you're like me. We're like, I cope with humor no matter the situation, and I think that's most of people nowadays. So I think that like the dark comedies work so well because it is a more human reaction than what you're seeing in some of these horror films. Like, I'll go see a slasher movie and I see these assholes like turning on lights when they're not supposed to, doing this, doing that. And I'm like, motherfucker, I'm gonna fight you. Like, what are you doing? Because it doesn't seem like a smart human reaction. It seems like they dumb it down. Whereas I think in the dark comedies, you get more of the human reactions from it.
Yeah, and I think Scary Movie and like those type of movies kind of break that mold of like, hey, we're gonna point out the tropes, and now horror movies are challenged in future states to not fall into them.
Well, and the thing about the Scary Movies is like I wouldn't even call those comedies or like dark comedies. Those are just straight up parodies.
Oh yeah.
So it is a very different thing of a dark comedy versus like the parody that is those movies too.
Oh, 100%. I just think they opened up the door of horror movies not to take themselves so serious in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I think because I'm going to bring this back to the superhero stuff too. You could also argue that Marvel opened up that door too, because at the end of the day, Marvel opened that door by showing that just because it's an action movie doesn't mean it can't be funny.
Yes, and
that's where they broke the mold for a lot, in my opinion. Like, nobody expected most of those movies to be as funny as they were, and I think that was part of the reason that they got the popularity they did. Marvel proved that you can break out of just one genre and have it mixed together, and I think kind of people started realizing like, oh, we don't have to be boring, like we can be more than one thing.
Even though I love it, I do think they also opened the door a bit too far with Thor: Love and Thunder, where they made a god into a complete joke. You have to pull there's a nice balance in between.
No, I get that. I totally get what you're saying on that one.
They gave Taika a little too much freedom on that last Thor of like, hey, reel back in, buddy.
Well, I think just to argue your point there was somebody pointed out that movie was technically not supposed to be from the perspective of Korg anyways. So that probably was a little bit more campier than we expected because it's not actually what happened, but it's someone's point of view.
No, 100% agree. It's just to the scary movie part of this, the aspect of just the writing matters. And if you look at a lot of like the horror icon movies that you will go to, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween, the writing is shit. The concept's amazing, but like when I say writing is shit, The dialogue is shit.
Yes. But I think that the thing that we also had to run into is like people were getting bored, right?
Mm-hmm.
They needed to change. They needed to make it different and to get people back in there because we were getting the same thing over and over and over again. So it's like, oh, how many times can you do a ghost movie? How many times can you do the same slasher? So by introducing like dark comedy into it, it puts a fresh perspective in there and it draws people back in.
Oh, 100%. And I think these three movies, maybe with the exception of Scooby Doo, and you'd probably argue Rubber, the writing it challenged the audience when it comes to like watching the movies, whereas we've desensitized as a society because we all watch those murder documentaries like they're cocaine. So like you're looking for the intricate details as to why we should care about the person being murdered, why we're going to pay attention to the person murdering type thing. Again, you probably can exclude Scooby Doo and Rubber, but I think the Tire had good motive.
I think, and I say it all the time, like when we get mad at the guy who does all the reviewing for IGN, right? Because I think that poor dude needs to get laid because he hasn't given out a good review in years. And I think the problem is that we're looking for a masterpiece from everything instead of just taking entertainment for entertainment's sake.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. I mean, we live in an era where they announce a title of a movie, you've already set expectations. They start first date shooting, and that you catch a glimpse of a photo of somebody drinking a coffee from a cup that's unique to New York, and it's like, oh, here's more speculation. So like you build in your mind, and no one will ever be able to match that.
I think it's also just we're so used to blockbusters and mind-blowing things and stuff like that sometimes we forget that like we just need something simple and stupid and fun.
Exactly, and all four of these represent that low bar of like, it's a popcorn movie, and then you walk out going, that was the greatest movie about a tire I have ever seen, ever.
But at the end of the day, all four of these movies, what they all have in common, and I'll give it to them, is they kept you engaged throughout the whole movie.
Oh, 100%. I mean, even to the point where Happy Death Day had a sequel.
Ready or Not is getting a sequel.
Yep, but even even without the sequel that hasn't come out yet, A24 hooked me and probably others at least to go check out their next project that came out 6 months later was The Hunt.
Same thing with Blumhouse though, because Happy Death Day is a part of Blumhouse, and Happy Death Day I think is more towards the beginning of Blumhouse's stuff. Most of what Blumhouse done at first was very dark, very very graphic. Like if you look up some of Eli Roth's,
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's right.
Sorry. If you look up some of his earlier stuff, that shit is disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, holy moly! Like I still think about Hostel 1 and 2 to this day, and The Green Inferno, like all of them. But like that's earlier towards the Blumhouse line. Whereas once he's like, this is kind of breaking them away from that and giving, that whole different type of heart.
Yeah, 100%. It built credibility in the studios for at least the back two.
Oh yeah.
And it built credibility into a guy like James Gunn. He went on from Scooby Doo to go do Slither, and then came back for Scooby Doo 2. And now, like we said at the beginning of this podcast, he's the head of DCU. So creatively, he understands storytelling enough to hook you. The fact that he got a sequel out of Scooby Doo, that's impressive, because as much as it's fun to go back and watch as a popcorn flick now, none of the shit in that holds up. Like the CGI is rough, the storyline's rough, the acting is tough.
Scooby-Doo is so terrible.
Well, do you remember the movie The Brady Bunch? Like not the show, but the movie they did?
Yeah, I think so.
Where it was like, all right, we're taking this thing from the Brady Bunch was like 60s, 70s, right? We're taking this thing from that time period and we're putting it into present day, but we're not changing any aspect of the fucking characters.
Yeah, I think I do remember that.
That's what the Brady Bunch did it, Scooby Doo did it, and they poked fun at it because they tried to upgrade themselves. I don't know if it was in this one or the second one, I don't remember, but it's a very hard genre to crack in a world that's so demanding of cinema these days.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just funny because like everybody knew that, like, we all knew that Scooby Doo looked rough in that. Because I think one of the biggest
Mhm.
things when they said they were doing a Scooby Doo live action is how the fuck are you going to make a dog talk in live action? And
A-
nobody was like, oh, this CGI is great. No, we just accepted it because it was Scooby Doo.
And the tasteful way, or I guess maybe tasteless way, I don't know how you want to word this, but the way they got around Shaggy as a stoner without
Oh, yeah.
with
Oh, yeah.
like everybody knows it. It's like the unspoken rule, and like they played a little bit harder into it with this
Oh, yeah.
movie, without
Absolutely.
completely revealing their hands to the kids. Like, this guy's a drug addict. Like he is
They,
just nonstop high, and that's why the dog talks.
at the end of at the end of the day, like, they absolutely knew that the core audience for that movie was adults and not children, because there was so many nuances and double meanings, and
Hmm.
oh my god, that movie was layered with them.
The fact, like, Velma was hot, like that's always the joke, that like she was the hot nerd, but they used Linda Cardellini or whatever. Oh,
Oh yeah,
she's a bombshell, and you couldn't really dress her down in that kind of sweater.
there was a couple different times where, like, it was heavily alluded to, like, having sex and like
Hmm.
a lot of weed references, a lot of dirty references, like the scene where Fred and Daphne switch bodies. And he's talking about all the things he can do because he's in a girl's body. Like,
Hmm.
that's not meant for children.
That is peak or vintage James Gunn. the
Yeah.
same the same vintage James Gunn that got him in trouble for a little bit with Marvel.
But I think it's so funny to, like, to see, like, what can be done within, like, a certain genre when you push the limits of it, for sure.
Hmm. Oh,
Because
hands down.
Scooby Doo and Rubber absolutely push the limits of their genre, for sure. Because
In opposite directions too.
right, because at the beginning of Rubber, like, he has this whole monologue where he's trying to be, like, profound and stuff like that, and you're like, bro, this is about a rubber. Like, this is about a tire. What do you mean?
And it's great. Again, it pushes it in two directions. So like this whole thing is like dark comedy horror, whereas like this murderous tire that like you did not expect all this murder from, and then this is a horror, but it's technically a kid's cartoon was its origin, and yet they could still be paired delightfully next to each other.
Well, I think those two, like, are definitely on the opposite ends, because Scooby Doo is meant to be a comedy that
Hmm.
just has, like, that is darker. Whereas with Rubber, I don't think Rubber was trying to be funny,
No,
but it is so out of pocket, and you can't take it seriously.
that director went to college to study Hitchcock and how to make horror movies, and he
Yeah,
came out
like,
making one about a tire.
he tried so hard to be profound and take himself seriously that it just blew up in his face.
Some would say he deserves an Oscar, but that's just me.
Some would be wrong.
No, not at all. The guy was the Hitchcock of our time. He knew what he was doing.
Name
Revolutionized
the
the
director
business. I don't fucking
without Googling it.
His name's Quentin, because you see it's Quentin and you go, Tarantino, and then you went, no, not Tarantino. So I remember it's Quentin. So that's even worse, because he's the Hitchcock of our time and clearly named after Tarantino and did not live up to either director.
Oh man.
And
I'll
if you're
never
listening to
forgive you
this,
for making
because I assume that you Googled your own movie and you found this in your YouTube algorithm, thank you.
I will
Thank you for
never
making
forgive
it.
you for making me watch that movie.
I'm thanking you, director Quentin, who clearly found this Googling himself, because who's doing a podcast about the movie Rubber in 2025?
Unfortunately, us.
Yeah, this is how you get it. You start off with the niche market and you expand. So we'll be talking about
Oh
murderous
man.
steak knives later or something.
I can't. Oh god. But it's just like it's so crazy to see what can genuinely be done within, like, a genre. Like, it's nice to see people breaking out of it and doing something different and new. Because that's what we need. We need new, we need different. Like, that's what we've been complaining about Disney for so long, is instead of doing something new, Disney's just out here remaking everything and just, cashing in on it. So like it's for entertainment. Like there is a line where you got to draw a line in the sand where you are doing entertainment just for entertainment's sake, or you're just trying to get people's money.
I urge you, if you're a horror fan, because this is how I stumbled across the movie, Rubber, is you have to go to the conventions and just find those indie-esque like producers and just be like, yes, I'm going to watch this.
I have watched some incredible indie films, like especially in horror. I think of all the genres, if you are looking for unknown, independent, or indie, horror is your best place to go.
It's the
you're either
greatest.
Gonna see some of the you're either going to see some of the most amazing movies you ever encountered that doesn't get the credit it deserves, or you're going to sit there and question your life for an hour and 45 fucking minutes.
You
and
will
still be entertained.
You will never be disappointed. I mean, on the grand scale of things, you probably should be, but you will never be disappointed.
The point of it is you wanted something to keep you entertained. Whether or not you enjoyed it, you were still entertained, though.
Yeah, you're not going to look away. It's a car accident. Everything that you find at these type of conventions, like a murderous tire, is just fantastic. I'm pretty sure I won that at like a giveaway, and here I am talking about it 15 years later. So it's.
I mean, I was saying to you, like I think genuinely one of the worst horror films I ever watched that just it absolutely made me question my sanity. But I watched it all the way through. I should have given up on it in the first 5 minutes when it's a brother and sister fucking, and then she miscarries the baby she didn't know she was pregnant with in the tub, okay? That was the first 5 minutes of a horror film I watched one time. But you know what happened? I kept watching. And would you believe it got more out of pocket after that? Because it fucking did.
It's a train wreck. You can't look away. And that's what that is the wild card that was thrown into this selection. Because the other three are pretty quality. But Rubber is a masterpiece.
But sometimes, like, the trashiest ones are the ones you're going to love the most. Like, the one I was just talking about, it's called Jug Face. That was a fucking disaster, a train wreck, a natural disaster. But my God, did I sit there and watch all hour and 38 minutes of this movie wondering why I did this and still kept going.
Exactly. And you'll be talking about it 20 years from now about how you were forced to watch this movie about a tire, and now it's a cult classic that you have to. It's like The Ring, where you pass on the video and then the little girl comes out the screen and kills you.
I'm going to make a speech at your fucking wedding about this goddamn movie.
That's fair. And I'm going to make my kids watch this movie one day when tires don't scare them.
Don't do that, because Wade will get ideas somehow.
Yeah, 100%. I want to teach the future. So clearly that was the best of the four movies.
Next thing you know, he's taking the tires off his little monster truck thing he's got and just start running.
100%. But it's clearly the best of the four.
I wouldn't say it was the best, but it was something.
The best. And give it all the Oscars, all the award seasons. I know it came out in like 2010 or whatever, but just put it back up now. So
the other thing that threw me off is how long that movie had been out for.
Yeah, and you just got to it. So come on, man, keep up.
First of all, I would have never gotten to it if I hadn't been forced into it.
You're welcome. That's the beauty of this podcast is we're gonna watch shit I made people watch a comedy back on the old show that they absolutely can't stand, and they still tell me to this day. We did that podcast like 10 years ago, and it was
with comedy.
Oh God, one crazy summer or something like that. It was John Cusack, and it's an awful movie. Bobcat Goldthwait is in it.
If you think that I'm not going to make you watch a whole thing full of musicals now, you're wrong.
It's fine. I think it's the beauty, because then you get on these podcasts, and here we are 30, 40 minutes in, and the tire is the focal point, and it's phenomenal.
Focal point, but it's definitely a point of contention.
Like, he cameos in literally every movie, if you think about it. He is the Morgan Freeman of our time.
I think the weirdest part of that movie that I just have to what was the whole thing with like the audience, like watching from binoculars and then them just murdering them all. What?
It's great. There's no notes to this movie in a negative fashion. Like
rhyme or reason to anything in that movie. Like it just. It went from 0 to 100 to like 5.
action and decision that was made in this movie would make me vote for them to be president, because I feel like whoever put this piece together could absolutely run the country at this point. Like, it's just fucking give me the tire guy and put him in charge, because he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
100%.
Weird hill to die on, but I'll let you go.
I'm gonna die that hill, man. Rubber was the greatest movie of our lifetime.
I wouldn't say the greatest movie, but it was definitely something else.
I don't know. You can think of a word better than greater, but that's fine.
I definitely think of the four, my favorite is Ready or Not, because to me, when it comes down to it, I like Ready or Not the most because, in my opinion, Ready or Not probably, for me personally, has the most rewatchability.
Well, I mean, Rubber, but yeah, I see your point.
I just personally, like, I'll rewatch Scooby Doo if it's on, but I kind of don't go out of my way to put it on. Same thing with Happy Death Day. Like, if it's on, I'll watch it, but like every once in a while, I'll be like, oh man, and like if I see it, I'll be like, oh, let me put this on. Like, that happened to me the other day. I saw it on Hulu, and I was like, ooh, it's been a minute since, apparently I have the hiccups. It's been a minute since I've seen this. Let me watch it because I know I really enjoyed it.
I'll give Ready or Not credit for breathing life back into my interest in horror, because admittedly, I was going through the motions and just watching Saw annually. Like, that was my horror intake of anything new. And then Ready or Not came out, and it's like anytime A24 pops up in the beginning, it's like I'm probably gonna check that out because I've really enjoyed most things they put out. So Ready or Not, to me at least, brought me back into the horror aspect of it.
And it is still so funny, like the difference in things that Ready or Not, like A24 can do, because like A24 isn't just, there's just so much that they have. Like, most of their horror films are just not, like, it's never the same thing either. If you look up just their horror alone, it's weird. But like on top of that, you've got really incredible like movies like Civil War. That was wild. That was an amazing movie with like a great lesson to it.
It's
but
surreal.
Then at the end of it, but then at the end of it, you know what else A24 has done? Has been Hotel. And that's that cartoon I was telling you about on Amazon, where it is demons in hell that's also a musical, and they're trying to be redeemed and to go to heaven.
Yeah. Oh, they did the Carrie Von Erich biopic, Iron Claw.
Yeah,
like,
right.
they went and grabbed an obscure, well, not obscure, but like a Texas wrestling legend and made it one of the highest grossing wrestler biopics ever.
I thought it was an amazing movie. Like, people bawl their eyes out watching it.
The Iron Claw?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you know what's the worst thing is? They had to take stuff out because it's even sadder. Like, the Von Erich story, we could do a whole podcast on that. But that story, there's 5 brothers and like 4 of them all died. And they only killed 3 of them in the movie because they were like, the 4th one just felt like a little too much.
But like, the versatility of A24 is just, it's out of this fucking world, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And I think they gave me faith in the fact that they can make quality horror movies. Blumhouse is really restoring some faith. They took over the Saw franchise after it got out of control. So like, it's nice to see these, I don't want to say like smaller studios because they're not at this point, but like these other studios that kind of came out of left field that weren't like they weren't New Line Cinema is the one you kind of go to a lot because of Scream and stuff like that. But
I think they were small at first, but because they're doing things right, they're growing.
Mm-hmm. And they're the fact, and we talked about this earlier, they're putting stock in dialogue because the audience has grown. I don't want to say smarter because there's a lot of dumb people still in the world, but it's just when it comes to they're more particular with their cinema now, where you can't just sneak by them.
They want to feel like the audience is spotting the plot holes more, right? They want it to feel more real. They don't want it to be so fucking far-fetched that it's not believable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like, it's just you need more to it than just slasher. Like, it's cool. Like, that was like the unique thing about Saw. It was cool to see how they were gonna like trick these people into killing themselves.
Oh yeah.
But
I could go on for days about Saw because the first couple Saw movies were from a director that I love for a whole different reason. But Saw was absolutely groundbreaking on its own when it came out.
Yeah, but then it ran a little too long.
Right. Saw wasn't just a horror film. Saw was an absolute mindfuck.
Yeah, 100%. And it shows that, like, as an audience of horror, you've evolved past, like, yeah, it's nice to, like, digest a slasher film every now and
Yeah.
then, like Hobo with a Shotgun, Rubber,
Yeah.
things like that. But at the same time, you need to have the Ready or Nots, the Hunts, the Happy Death Day to kind of challenge you in a horror aspect a little bit. So
It keeps you interested. It keeps you in there because you're not getting the same thing over and over and over again.
mhm.
You have the versatility that's needed so we don't get bored.
Yep, and I'll take the shot. Our generation's smarter than the last generation, so fuck them.
I agree.
We need to be challenged
Well,
a little bit more. Like, you're gonna sit there and call us dumb because of social media, but no, look at our movies, 10 times
that's a
better.
smart thing. I think it's just we consume media at a higher level than the previous generation. So the
it's-
problem is because we consume so much of it, we need to find the versatility within it before it gets stale.
It's 100% a smart thing because those idiots needed a laugh
Both.
track to be told when they had to laugh on sitcoms.
Well, no,
so,
that's you're talking to somebody who hates Friends in the Office. So.
The more I go back and watch shows that have laugh tracks, the more I find out I don't care for that stuff.
But I'm not saying it's not the smart thing, but it's definitely the fact that we're consuming it at a higher rate, and we need more versatility so we don't get that stale feeling to it.
Because we're smarter. Fuck the boomers. Boom.
I think on that note, I don't know. I think that's really all we got for you guys tonight. Dace, tell me what you got going on.
All kinds of shit, and that's probably why this took forever to come back. So twitch.tv/Basement Protocol. We're streaming 4 nights a week now. My personal stream is Sunday and Thursday, where I play Nintendo games because I like to be in a fortress of solitude and not bothered by people. But there are 2 streams that I'm drug out and have to play with people. We play Borderlands 4 on Friday, so tonight. And then we also play Diablo 4 on Mondays. So there's that. Weekly Protocol every Thursday, 10 a.m. Jersey Fanatics. We took a week off because, it's a little sensitive right now. But we'll be back. Yeah, exactly. It's so sensitive, it's bleeding over into the movie conversation. But we'll be back with that Wednesdays at 10 a.m. And then every week this doesn't debut, a Dace Tack and mine will debut. And that's a lot. There's a lot going on. So we are pushing things through. So keep your ears peeled.
Yep, and then I think for me, it's just going to be keeping up with this. I believe next episode, I really can't talk today. We are going to be looking at what we consider more of our classics and what we had George the most when it comes to horror films, because we're going to keep up with the spooky season vibes. So, on that note, we will talk to you next time and see you behind the silver screens.